Happy New Year, my friends. It's 2023. Let's do the first fish room walkthrough of the year. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's look at fish, the status of tanks, what's going on with some of my filtration, and let's talk about some of the future plans. Let's go. We'll start with this divided 55-gallon, and you'll notice the Autopharynx tetrastigma continues to hang out here. This is a fish that has lost one eye and is now living alone in a divided 55-gallon tank. On this side, I had some silver dollars, but they're gone, and I will show you what happened to them in a minute. Here in the community tank, everything is going well, and what I've decided to do is to pull out this plastic plant and buy some plants that I saw that are very long and sweeping, and they'll just kind of come up and over, and there'll be live plants. So I'll have a probably the tall plants here, and then maybe some swords, and then on this side I'll maybe put some anubias and some smaller plants on this side. And so I think that'll give it a good look. Maybe even leave the wood where it is right now. We'll see. But you can see the Buenos Aires tetras are doing really, really well. Red serpas, the lemons, the little rummy nose. Got some green laser cories in there, some neons. You can see the tail of the whiptail cat there sticking out underneath the wood. Crazy looking fish. And there's also some cherry barbs in here. This one might be full of eggs again. I'm growing out a baby from that cherry barb in another tank. These cories are going to get, these green lasers are going to get some company. I've got some additional cories I'm going to be adding to the mix. I know they like to be in groups, just like the rummy nose. They like to school around. Very cool fish. So this tank's doing well. I might even bring over the Marineland filter, so I just have this one intake in the community tank, and then get rid of the two internal filters. Put those somewhere else, and then maybe even replace this very long Eheim 300-watt heater back there. Replace that with something smaller, just to give the tank a little bit of a cleaner overall look. The heater is doing a great job keeping the tank at 79.9 degrees. Despite the cold weather, I had no issues with the tanks. They all stayed nice and warm, since they do have plenty of watts in each tank. Some of you have asked about this sign. I do have it at my Amazon store. Feel free to check it out there. Beware of cichlid. Here's the 90-gallon. I've got a different plant in there. I'm cleaning up the one that was in there in that little bleach process that I've talked about before. So I'm using a different one right now. Tear has put on a bit of some size here, so he's maybe just a late bloomer. But if you remember, just not that long ago, he was very teeny, kind of a runt, but he's actually looking a little better now, a little bigger. And AC Heckelei, love those electric dots that they get. Red spotted gold severum. Love these geos. They keep the substrate nice and clean. There's two of them in here. A red shoulder hiding out at the back there, and this beautiful electric blue Ochart. Just a really cool fish. Really like this guy. Picked him up from a friend here in Nashville. Now one of these geos jumped, and I can't figure out how they got out, because the top of this has this lid on it, and there's like these little sections back here, but they're sealed off with pieces of plexi. So I'm not sure how he got out, but I found him laying right here in front of the heater. I have a floor heater in here, helps keep the room comfortable. And he was just laying right there gasping. Picked him up right away and put him right back in the tank, and he's doing fine. I think what happened is he got startled when the lights came on, and fortunately I saw him right away and was able to put him right back. So where were the silver dollars? Here are the silver dollars. I'd like to get about 5 or 6 of them, but for now these two are in the 90 gallon. They were picked up originally as what people call dither fish, and they seem to be doing fine. No one's bugging them. They're hanging out together, and I think a school of about 5 or 6 of them would look really, really cool. Maybe add some red hooks to the group. I rearranged the wood a little bit. I like places for the fish to swim in between and through, and so I create like a little bit of an obstacle course. Also, if the geos are chasing each other, one of the fish is acting a little bit overly aggressive, it gives the fish a little bit of a getaway. I tried to put this guy here. When I moved the silver dollars, I tried to move this fish over into the 90 gallon, and the other red spotted severum immediately just picked up where he left off before and just started beating the daylights out of him, and had him pinned between the wall and the overflow of the hang-on back filter, and just wasn't letting him move. And something about fish, you know, they pick up meek or a weak fish and they all start piling on. So the green tear and the red shoulder and other fish were coming around and picking on them, and so finally I ended up bringing him back here to the 29 where he's very, very happy. I just don't know what I'm going to do with him, because you know I've seen like Cichlid brothers have a couple of these red spotted severums living together. I think they're red spotted, they might just be yellow severums living together, so I know that they can live together. But boy, oh boy, the one in this tank here is just a total jerk, and just immediately started beating him up. You can really see the colors of the electric blue Ochart under this lighting. Just a beautiful fish. So this guy, yeah, just didn't want him in the tank at all, and just proceeded to deliver a whooping. So I had to take him out and put him back into the 29. And if I can figure out what to do with him, I'll probably eventually just take him over to a local fish store, maybe get a store credit. Over here in the in this little live bear tank, I've got a couple more little babies running around, and you'll notice a few more platies and mollies in here. These little electric green ones, I really love the color on them. So I picked up some of those, a male and 2 females. There's an ember that's so small, I've just left them back here. And here's the baby cherry barb that I grew out from the pair that's in the 55 gallon. There's also some more Cory cats I picked up. You can see one of them back there digging around. They're very small right now. They'll put on some size pretty quick. There's about 3 of them in here. Really cute spotted Cory. I think it's called a Picus Cory. Also have a green Cory. So there's several Corys that will then be brought over to the 55 gallon. So there'll be a bigger group of them, because I know they like to hang out together. There's a pagoda snail in here, a real nice one, but there's also a nerite. Is it pronounced nerite snail? It's a striped one underneath the wood there. I'm not sure if you can see it. Very pretty snail. Little baby right there looking at me. I'm continuing to leave the lyre-tail molly here in this tank, only because he's so much larger than the other fish. I'm sure he'll gobble up the babies. I might get him a couple females and just have him have a couple spawns in this little tank here. But if I were to receive some new fish, I'd probably have to pull them out. I just use this tank as a quarantine tank. Over here, I did have an issue with bloating, and sadly, I ended up losing a betta, my beautiful, the beautiful betta I picked up from KG Tropicals that was living on this side of the duplex. And I was very upset about that. He bloated out, and there's no one to blame except me. I mean, I'm feeding him now, as I talked about in that one video, the lessons I learned in 2022. I'm feeding him now once a day and skipping Sunday, so that's going to prevent the betta from getting bloated. This guy here continues to do well. He's my little mustard gas. And I think I may have just dropped a little bit too many flakes in there with that Nemo Galaxy betta. And that was very, very upsetting because I really like that betta a lot. So let's take a look here at the 300. Love looking at it from this side. Everybody seems to be getting along, fingers crossed. You know, things like that can change pretty quick. I talked about my little bicolor 500 and the Lethrinops oculatus in a video I just released recently about how they were still alive. Small fish surviving in a tank with, you know, monster fish who are supposedly very, very aggressive. So I'm very happy the way he's doing, especially when you consider that I have fish like living stone eye and fuscos, Venusis in the tank. They really seem to be enjoying the big footprint of this 7-foot tank. Over here in the 210, love the colors of this Vieja. Pinks, some blue. Salvini there asserting himself. He doesn't mess with the Vieja. This Oscar continues to grow like a weed. He is very much bigger than the albino that arrived at the same time. Albino is obviously growing slower. Very pretty fish. This tank's a little brighter. There we go. A little better lighting. But let me see if I can get them together here. Usually they're swimming right next to each other. They continue to be friends. Hopefully it continues that way. But maybe you can tell, to the naked eye, you can really tell that the red tiger is much larger than the red tiger albino. The chocolates continue to be shy and hang out undetected. But they're beautiful fish, the chocolate cichlids. There's one back there. Little Jack Dempsey. She's a cutie. And little Nicaragua back there, who's usually locking jaws with this firemouth right here. Firemouth I picked up locally. The majority of these fish, as you know, I picked up from the Cichlid Shack from my friend James over in Tempe, Arizona. This wood that I harvested locally is showing no signs of sinking, and I don't mind. I love the way it sits in the tank. Eventually, it'll come down. There they go. It's amazing how much of that red comes down off of the firemouth. sometimes they'll lock up, but for the most part they just sort of face off. I have a little bit of a situation in the back of the aquarium. I'll show you. When you see a bucket at the back of someone's aquarium, it's never a good sign. But the reason that's there, and it's actually bone dry right now, there's no water in it at all. But when I was adjusting this this gate valve, just to fine tune the water level in this overflow box, the Synergy overflow box, what happened is that it started leaking. Now, if you close them all the way down and then tighten the screw, that can very much solve the problem. You know, very often can solve the problem. But this time it didn't. It kept leaking, and only after I really opened it up that it stopped leaking. And now it's bone dry. Now it's not leaking at all. But the truth is, it's going to need to be swapped out. And just as a preventative measure, I'm just going to have to get a head on it and swap it out. So I'm going to have to cut. I'll cut real close right here and down here. I'll cut as close as I can. And then what I'll do is I'll add a gate valve that has a union. They sell them so that they have these types of union connections on the top and bottom. And that's really what I should have done is gotten a gate, paid a little extra money and gotten a gate valve with unions on both ends. Instead, this one is glued in. It's cemented in with PVC cement. So to swap it out, I've just got to cut the pipe and then work in a gate valve that has the unions built into it, and that'll remedy the situation. It's not leaking now, so I'm not really worried, but it could go at any time, and so I don't want to have that kind of anxiety. So again, never a dull moment. Oscars are always curious, always going after my hand. Look at this. If I put my finger in there, he'll take a good bite out of me. He is not shy one bit, as opposed to the Viejo, which is shy and backs off. So there you have it, the first fish room walkthrough for 2023. Thank you for joining me on that. Certainly share your thoughts and comments below. I'm always interested in what you have to say. Any suggestions that you might have, I'd appreciate it. Let me know if you think there's some fish I'm missing and what you'd like to see me add. I've heard you on the discus. That's still in the plan for 2023. And getting the plants going in the 55 with the community tank, that's a priority. I also want to add a few more African cichlids to the tank behind me. And if there's any fish that you think would do well with the South Americans in the 210 gallon, let me know. I'd like to hear what you have to say there. So I've got with Viejas, Oscars, Jack Dempsey's. I'm probably going to be bringing in the Green Tear, Nicaragua. So there's an interesting combination of fish in there. Maybe you think I should separate some of them out. Maybe you think maybe there's a few you think I can add. Let me know. I'd love to hear. I'm always learning. You know that. All right. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in. Hope to see you on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. That's Saturday at 11 o'clock Central. We will go ahead and start those up for the new year. And if you would like to support the channel, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and consider becoming a member of the Garage Gang and support the channel with a monthly Patreon support program. The details are in the description. Thank you, my friends. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.